Hi, it's Dan from Vision Brokers and Advisors in Sydney. This is the first of many videos to come in 2020 about the practice of selling a business. And boy, has selling a business changed over the last couple of years. So we want to put together an entire video program about how to sell a business in 2020 and beyond. We want to help not just our clients, but all business owners all over Australia. So it really doesn't matter what size of business you have, small, medium or large, and it definitely does not matter if you're not thinking of selling right now. The tools and tips and tricks and insights that we want to give you are designed for any business owner. So unless your business is something that we call an armchair business, which very rarely see, where the owner can literally sit in an armchair, the business grows organically and the owner gets a return from the business. And if you have one of those businesses, by the way, never sell it. But this is for any small, medium or large business owner. So let's get into the topic of today, our first topic. And we're not going to start with this business selling process. We're going to start with resetting your mindset, which is critical if you want to look at your business retrospectively. The topic of the video today is the $100,000 problem affecting 90% of business owners. Well, around 87% to be exact, but we'll round it up to 90. The $100,000 problem affecting 90% of business owners. We call it the $100,000 problem because, for some it's tens of thousands, for others it's actually millions. But $100,000 in our experience sort of most accurately represents the value that can be added when you start to follow some of our tips and guidance along the process of operating your business and then looking at an exit sometime in the future. So let's get straight into it. The $100,000 problem. The first place to start is in shifting your mindset. And the $100,000 problem we like to call owner's tunnel vision, OTV, owner's tunnel vision, the $100,000 problem. Owner's tunnel vision is sort of a phrase that we like to use, which represents that classic business owner drive where they're very visionary and they're very focused on growing revenue and driving their business forward, but they forget to look at the peripherals and sometimes look at what's really important. And that owner's tunnel vision, we'll get to some of the things that sort of attribute to owner's tunnel vision in a minute, but I'd like to just start by highlighting a business as an asset class. If you think about your small business or medium or large business as an asset class, and the two other most common asset classes are shares and the property market. And if you look at a small or medium or large business shares in the property market as three different asset classes, it becomes really interesting because an owner of a property will be checking in once, twice, 3, 4 times a year to try to understand what is the value of that property. They want to understand that value so they can make the right decision. Do I put the rent up? Do I sell the property? Do I access some of that borrowable equity and look to buy another property? But it's really easy to go and check in and find out what the value of the property is as well, because you can go online, you can ask agents. Valuing a property is highly objective. It's very objective. You're measuring square meters, bedrooms, bathrooms, bricks, etc. If you look at shares, certainly more volatile than the property market, but if you look at shares, you can, and I guarantee if you own shares, you are logging in once, twice a week, maybe even every day to check what their value is. So again, you can make the right decisions. Do I sell? Do I buy? Do I hold? And the funny thing is that a business is the most risky. It's something that you put a huge amount of blood, sweat and tears into, a huge amount of energy and time into, yet owners do not check the value of their business regularly because it's hard to do. It's very subjective. And that's a real problem because owners will then only go and find out what their business is worth when it becomes time to sell. And the probability of being disappointed is very high. As we said before, 90% of business owners don't get their business valued. They take their business to market with little or no preparation. And that's why we call it the $100,000 problem. As I said, for some it's tens of thousands. For others, it's been literally millions. So let's get into if you're able to take action today, think of it as $100,000 being better off in your pocket. And it's not something that you're going to be able to snap your fingers and do overnight. You're going to need to do a little bit of work with a trusted broker or a trusted advisor, someone who has experience selling buying and a business from both the seller and the buyer side, and also transacting businesses as a broker or advisor. Make sure that if you do get your business, the value of your business reviewed, make sure that they have those credentials. That's really, really important. A review is a lot more in depth than a very, very simple market appraisal. So I'd also just like to highlight the difference between something like a business review or evaluation and a market appraisal. A market appraisal is not appropriate because it's very high level, and there's not a lot of that. Most brokers will do a very, very clean, quick market appraisal very quickly without too much time and effort, and it really doesn't mean too much to you. What you want to be identifying are the risk characteristics and the transferability issues that may be inherent in your business. But first of all, let's get into owner's tunnel vision and the things that attribute to an owner feeling a false sense of security and having that tunnel vision that when I go to sell, my business will sell quickly and easily and for the price that I want. So let's sort of touch on those points at the moment. The first one is blood, sweat and tears. This is the most classic one. Blood, sweat and tears. This is the belief that because the owner has worked really hard in the business, because you, the owner, has worked really hard in the business, and you've put a huge amount of time and energy and effort 24/7 for years or whatever, that a buyer is going to recognize that as being materially valuable to them. The truth is, it will not. So it doesn't matter how hard you've worked in the business and how much you've spent on the business, the probability of the owner recognizing that as being materially valuable to them is very, very low, because they are going to invest their own blood, sweat and tears and finances as well. So let's move on to the next one. The belief, and this is also a very common, selling is easy. I can tell you now that selling a business has become more complicated, and the time frame that it takes to sell a business is around 6 months. And this is why it's really important for business owners to think about that and to plan for that, for 6 to 9 to for some 12 months. It can take a long time to sell a business. So, think about where your business, how your business is performing today and how it might be performing in 6 or 12 months. Is the business inclining or declining? And it's really important to think about where the business will be in advance and anticipate a sale so that you can maximize your sale price and get your timing of your sale right. The next thing, this is something that's really been, we've seen a lot of in especially recent years, a database. Is a database valuable? This, in a way, speaks to the definition of goodwill in a business sale, and I'll talk to you about that in a moment. I have a very close friend of mine who has an enormous database of around 50,000 people following him in various platforms, social media, email list, and the business is marginally profitable. There's really not much profit after he pays himself a fairly average wage. So is the database valuable if the business is not making profit? In most circumstances, the case is no. And it's something that attributes to owners feeling a sense of security, false security, that when they go to sell, someone will pay for a database, even if the business isn't showing a lot of profit or return to the owner. So do not rest on that laurel. The next one is reputation. This also speaks to goodwill, which we'll touch on quickly in a sec. The reputation of the business is amazing. I've heard most business owners talk about their reputation. I think the truth is that if you don't have a great reputation, you don't have a business at all. So a fantastic reputation in the marketplace or in your industry is fantastic. You've probably worked really, really hard to develop that over a period of time. However, is it going to be recognized as materially valuable by a purchaser? And the probability is also, again, very, very low. Just because you have a great reputation and a great database doesn't mean that you're going to be selling for a fantastic price if the fundamentals of the business don't stack up. The final point is location. And I'm going to put an arrow over these three because these all speak to the definition of goodwill in the context of a business sale. Location, I actually heard someone about a year ago say they had the best location in the world, and it was in Sydney. And whilst some people may agree, some people may not, the problem with having the best location in the world is you have to pay through the roof for it. So reputation should only be, location rather, should only be considered as valuable if the rent to revenue ratios as a percentage of expenses are aligned with your industry. For example, so if you're in a retail industry, you really want your rent, especially food retail, to be maximum 10% because you've got so many other overheads. So this, for example, this fellow who I was telling you the story about, his rent was actually $400,000. He had a huge place and it was beachfront and everything like that. $400,000, but his revenue was $2 million. So he had a rent to revenue ratio of 20% and he did not have a profitable business. And this is where we talk about goodwill in the context of a business sale. I'll call that goodwill. Goodwill in the context of a business sale. Is it something like a database? Is it a fantastic reputation? Is it a fantastic location? No. Goodwill in the context of a business sale is net profit. I'll say that again. Goodwill in the context of a business sale is net profit. If the net profit is zero, the goodwill is zero. And that's something that is a huge shock to business owners when they take their business to market and they learn that the hard way. So, what is the solution to overcoming owner's tunnel vision and looking at your business retrospectively? It's pretty obvious, and it is to have a business review done regularly. Review the value of your business with a credible, experienced broker or advisor, and make sure they not only have experience in transacting businesses, but really good experience working on the buy and the sell side for their own businesses. That's really, really important. So an in-depth review should look at around 15 risk characteristics of the business, and we'll get into those in one of our next videos. But what the objectives that you want to be the objectives of a business review for you, and the things that you want to walk away with, the knowledge you want to walk away with, are the experience of polishing your information. The experience of polishing your information and going through a more in-depth business review. Think of a business review almost as a mini due diligence. So you actually go through and get a sense of a due diligence environment, and that will help you to make sure that you polish your information, your record keeping, all of your practices, and it helps you to really look at what you're doing on a week-to-week, month-by-month basis. And it can make a massive, massive difference. We talked about business owners not preparing their business for market, and they end up in a due diligence phase and end up in a lot of trouble, and that's where a lot of deals will fall over because they have not prepared and polished their information. So it'll help you to polish your info. The next thing, which is absolutely essential for a business owner, and is being familiar with the market. A business review will help every business owner see their business through the eyes of the market. We talked about risk characteristics a moment ago, and the business review will highlight the areas of the business which will not perform well in a sale scenario. There can be lots of issues in a business that are dormant issues if the business is never sold, but the business sale can be a trigger event for all those issues to come to light and devalue the business enormously. The third thing is the risk. And yes, we touched on that in terms of becoming familiar with how a buyer might look at your business, but identifying the key risk issues will actually really help you with your strategic decision and thinking about the sorts of changes you might make in your business 6 or 12 months before you think about selling. And by being able to identify the key risk issues. For example, it could be that the business has a major customer and there's no contract with that customer in place. So that may represent enormous risk if the business were to be sold. So identifying key risk issues is really, really important in terms of being able to maximize value. The other major thing that you want to be achieving from your review of the value of your business is its value. That's a fairly obvious one, I know, but it is the most important one, because that, above all else, is what truly will give a business owner the insights and the motivation to look at their business retrospectively and make decisions, not just about the business, but about themselves and what they do in the future with that business. So that being said, where do you go to have your business review done? As I've said before, you can go to any agent or advisor. Some accountants have a lot of experience in selling businesses and solicitors. So speak to anyone in your professional network. Of course, you can call us as well, but make sure that whoever you're dealing with has experience selling on the transaction side, and they're actually selling businesses in 2020 and they have experience doing so, and that they've also been a seller and a buyer of their own business before. That's really, really important, because that's really important from this perspective of empathy, and that's a very, very valuable skill for a middleman to be able to have in a transaction. Okay, so the next video will be about information requirements and the sorts of information that a business owner should prepare to conduct a business review, or also if they're actually right at the beginning of the sales process as well. So looking at the right information to prepare so that you can have the most accurate review of your business, as well as feel like you have been through a sort of a due diligence test environment, and make sure that your business and you are the most prepared before you list your business for sale and get the surprise of your life. So again, if you can't wait, please feel free to contact us if you do need to sell, or if you are buying a business and you have questions, please contact us, get in touch with us. We'll be happy to answer any questions you have, and we love talking shop. It'd be great if you can think about any family or friends who are business owners who could benefit from this video and all of the others that we have coming up. So please share this with them, and if you're on YouTube, get them or yourself to hit the notification bell so you know when our new videos are coming out. We really want to try to educate business owners, not just in Sydney or New South Wales, but in Australia. So, you know, our motto is to transcend the standards of the business broking industry, and we really hope that this video goes a small way towards doing that, and all the others that we'll be posting this year. So thanks very much for watching. Happy buying and selling.